Okay, let's talk about circles. A circle is a set of points in a plane that are equidistant from a given point called the center. So this is the center in the circle. It's point P. Okay. When you name a circle, by the way, you name it by its center. So circle P. That distance, that equidistant from the center, so basically they're talking about all the points. Okay, and that distance that they're talking about from the center is the radius. So a radius is the same whether you draw it here, here, here. That's the definition. Now, the distance across a circle through the center is the diameter. So the difference between diameter and radius, because sometimes you have one and you need the other. The radius is here, from the center out, from the center out. So 2 radii is a diameter. So diameter is 2 times the radius, and that's going to be useful. So let's look at a little problem solving here. If I tell you, for example, that the radius is 4, okay, now I can either tell you radius is 4, or I can show you in a picture by putting it between the center and the circle, so like right here in the middle. So that's 4. So if the radius is 4 and I needed the diameter, well, the diameter is going to be 4 on this side too. It's 2 times 4. So the diameter is going to be 8. And then, for example, if I wanted to find area, I need the radius. So what if they gave me a circle and they showed me that this whole thing was 10? Now I have a feeling this is for the whole thing because it's in the center. If it was written just up here, I would assume it was a radius. So if I either tell you the diameter is 10 or I show you in a picture and I need to find the radius, well, the diameter is 2 times the radius, so the opposite of multiplication would be division. I'm going to cut the diameter in half and find the radius is 5. Okay, so now I want to talk about these two formulas. You know, what's the difference in them? First of all, if you're in Virginia and you take the SOL, you've got a formula sheet that's going to have the formulas for the circle here. Okay, and there's more in the back. So on the front you have a picture that if you forget radius, diameter, it's going to show you. See how the R is on the short one, D is in the middle of the whole length. So radius, diameter. It's also showing you the formulas for circumference and area. Now if you look down at the box here, A, area, C, circumference. So there's 2 formulas for circumference. Why are there 2? Oh, 2 times the radius is the diameter. So those 2 formulas are actually the same. So you can use either one depending on the information you have. Okay, so now what is the circumference? What is the radius? Okay, well, how would we use, why would we use circumference? Circumference is the distance around the outside. Really, circumference is just perimeter. Okay, a circle is not technically a polygon, so they're not going to use the word perimeter. They're going to say circumference. So distance around the outside is circumference. I might use circumference if I was, building a fence around my backyard, or if I wanted to frame a picture, okay, or put trim around the floor of a room. I would want to know the perimeter of the floor. Okay, so what's area then? Well, area is going to be the inside space. It's measured in square units. So if I wanted to know how much space is on the inside of this, how many little squares in there, that's area. You would use the area formula if you were, say, finding out how much paint you want to buy. If you're going to paint a wall, you would find the area of that wall. How much seed to buy. If you wanted to put grass in your backyard, you would want to know the area of your yard. So, like seeding a yard. Okay? Alright, so let's practice using them. They're very, very easy to use. So we'll just do one of each. I'm actually going to shove that up because I'd like you to practice with this. Okay? Always practice with the real thing, right? Okay, find the circumference. So to find the circumference, I need to know what information have they given me. Well, first I need to know the formula. So the formula, there's two of them. C is circumference. So which one do I want to use? I look and see what they gave me here. So this is the radius. So I'm going to go ahead and use the formula that has radius in it, 2 pi r. And at this point, I'm just doing algebra. I'm just substituting. I want the circumference, and I know the radius is 5. Now, there's two different ways to write your answer, and of course, if you're doing multiple choice, you want to make sure you're looking, you know, which answer do they want? All right, so 2 pi times 5, in terms of pi, means just simplify, leave pi in there. So 2 times 5, this is all multiplication and it's commutative, is 10 times pi. So you might see the answer written like this. And this is, we call that in terms of pi. Okay, so if it wants it in terms of pi, meaning pi is still in your answer, then you leave the pi there. Otherwise, you're going to turn on your calculator. By the way, on the back of the formula sheet, this gives you a decimal approximation or the fraction approximation of pi. But there's a number on your calculator, so if you want to be really exact, I'm going to go to the calculator and I'm going to hit 10 times, or I can just hit pi. It's in blue there, see, very tiny. Okay, right there, pi. So I have to hit second pi. Okay, so I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. So since the next number is a 1, I'm going to leave it 4. 31.4. Alright, so these are both acceptable answers. Both of those are correct. Some students get in the habit of always pushing pi, and they get this answer and they look in their multiple choice and they're like, oh my gosh, I did it wrong. Remember, if there's pi in there, you know, put that in your calculator, see if it matches. Okay, so what if I'm asked to do area? So again, I want to see what information do I have. And this is what I was talking about earlier when, you know, students will ask me, where is 6? Is 6 the whole thing? Is 6 just that part here? It's in the middle by the dot, so we're going to assume it's the whole thing. So they have given us the diameter. And again, I can see it on my formula sheet because D is the one that's the whole way across. Now, I only have one area formula. I have to use radius. So area equals pi r squared. I'm going to write down my formula. Okay, now, I have to use radius. I cannot use diameter. So remember, the diameter is 2 times the radius. So if you need the radius, you're doing the opposite of multiplying, you're dividing. So radius equals 6 divided by 2, 3. Okay, substitute. Now again, if I want to do this in terms of pi, order of operations, just square my 3. So 3 squared is 9. So my area is going to be 9 pi. Alright, so if you're somebody that likes to do in terms of pi, it's like that. I don't care if you do it with a decimal or with a pi in there. So some students will not do the pi one. They'll just go to their calculator and put in exactly what they did for their formula. Hit enter. Alright, 28 point. Okay, this time when I round, if I go to the nearest tenth, the 7's big, so I'm going to make that a 3. 28.3. About equal to 28.3. Either answer is fine. Okay, great. Go try some practice.